Joe Waters.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute. Joan Walters is here. We're here to interview this important lady. Her name is Nan, or Mary Shackleton. What's your real name?
Mary Julia Shackleton.
And where were you born?
Brooklyn, New York.
What day?
You have a confirmation name?
Julia.
I mean, like
You didn't have a
Steve,
middle-
Alan, Joseph?
Oh, no, it's just Mary Julia.
Oh, really? You don't have confirmation?
No, just, I guess it must have been Mary Croker, and then I imagine Julia was my confirmation name.
Were your parents related to the people who own the big store, Kroger shopping centers?
Oh, no, Croker.
Oh,
It was
Croker, not Kroger.
No, Croker.
Oh.
Is this right close to me? Are you taking us all in?
That's a good distance right there if you get too close.
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Why, no, Croker, Croker.
Did your parents come over from Ireland?
My mother did, not my father, but he was born of Irish parents.
Monkey talk after me.
I can't say that.
Mommy, monkey talk after me.
Okay. What's the
My mother was born in a place called Chapel Rock, according to my name. And that was where the Blessed Virgin was seen. And on this rock, and right, they put a shrine there. Yeah. Now this was years
That's where
and
people
years.
still go to get healed.
Well, no, I
Where is
think.
it at? Is it in New York State? Or?
Yeah, it's a Chapel Rock in oh gee, I can't think of where Mommy's from. I think Cologne. I really don't know. I got the thing home. I wish I had it with me. But the place where she was born was like must have been a little place outside of like a little suburb,
Uh-huh.
and they called it Chapel Rock. But that was where the Blessed Virgin was supposed to have been seen, you know. And that's where they built a chapel on the rock where she was.
Oh, neat. I didn't
Oh, yeah. My aunt wrote me a letter, and she put that all in the letter. I really have it, you know. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I never knew that myself, you know. But my mother, according to Aunt Nanny, my mother came over here in 1889.
1889.
1889.
Did she come over with any family? Or?
Well, I don't know how many kids my grandmother had at that time, but I know my aunt was, my grandmother was pregnant with my Aunt Nanny. That's why Aunt Nanny always said she was smuggled into the country. Oh, yeah, she always said that.
Smuggled into the country?
Smuggled into the country. That I know for sure. But as far as how many grandma had with her, I really don't know. But I know she had 12, you know, all old. And, of course, she had buried some in Ireland. See, when she came here, she had no more here, you know, as far as I know. But she did have 12, you know, kids.
Wow.
So that's how...
And where were you raised? You were born in Brooklyn?
I was born in Brooklyn.
How long did you stay there?
Well, I think I was about 4 years old when we came to Philly.
And why did you come to Philly?
Well, my father... I feel so self-conscious.
No, go ahead. It's just going to be
It's better to talk when I'm just talking, but to know.
This thing might not even be working as far as we know.
Well,
Yeah, it might
no,
not
my father took care of show horses, A.T. Bedford in Brooklyn. And when the machines came in, the Bedford girls wanted machines naturally. So he took his
You want a car?
cars. And they used to call them machines, you know, but anyway, they're cars. And he took his horses up to Bedford, Bedford. And so the girls, you know, I mean, that was the end of the horse era, you know. And then Pop got a job in brooding in, is this all right? In Philadelphia. So we were raised in Philadelphia. So that's it.
Well, come on. When you were little, do you remember?
Well, almost like you're wearing now the long skirts. And when I, you know, we had the humble skirts. They were real tight, but they were long. And then again, we wore just, you shorts, the fashion,
Pantaloons?
varied. Oh yeah, we had pantaloons, and they used to come below your knee.
Did you have running water in your house?
Oh, there we go. Not at first, Ken. No, we
What
had,
was your house like? Was it a row house?
when we came to Philly, we went to Frederick Abbey, and that was our first house. And that's where they have Father, Son, and Holy Ghost houses. There was one room on each floor. And that's
One room on each
one
floor?
one room on each floor. And they called them Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I don't know, how they talk about stuff like that. But that's what we had. And that's where we had to go half a block to go to the bathroom.
What if you had to go in the middle of the night?
Well, that's what you have your potty for.
You had bedpans like?
Oh, yeah, not bedpans, but,
Porta pots, like,
in
a bucket, and then you dump the bucket?
yeah, right, exactly.
Especially in the winter, that
Yeah.
must have been
Oh,
terrible.
yeah. Well, you couldn't
Well, how
go
did you take baths?
in the kitchen.
Just in a big
In
old
a
tub?
regular wash tub. No, we had no...
How'd you heat the water? Just put it
On the stove. Uh-huh.
And you had to do bucket by bucket to
Right.
get it in there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you
That's-
have running water in the house?
Not in Frederick Avenue when we moved
You had to go outside and pump the water?
Everything, yeah, right.
And
When we
then
moved
bring
to Sutton Street, then we had water in a house. But we had an outhouse. We had to go out in the yard to go to to go to
But
toilet.
you had pump water in
Oh,
the
yeah, we
kitchen?
had city water, we had that in the house.
How did you get it? Was it from a spigot or was
Yeah,
it?
right,
Really?
right. But
Just
it was
like
no
now?
hot water, we had a heat.
No hot water heater?
No, we had to heat everything we used, like.
What'd you do
the
about
dishes.
laundry?
Well,
They
just heat
didn't
it.
have water heaters back in, did they?
No, I don't know if they had them or not, hon, but we did have any. Every hot water, every water that you wanted, for like wash or to get a bath or stuff like that. I'm starting to stutter because I'm too self-conscious
Oh,
of
don't
that.
think of it. It might not even be working.
But anyway, no, every water we used like that, we had a heat on a coal stove.
How long did you go to school? How far away was your school? Did you walk to school?
Well,
went to
we went to
St.
St.
Mary's?
Michael's.
St. Michael's?
St. Michael, that was Second and Jefferson. And that's where we used to have to cross the railroad, the freight yard.
To get to school?
To get to school, uh-huh.
How many tracks were there?
About 8 or 10. It was a regular freight yard. And
Oh,
that's,
wasn't that dangerous?
well, you get
Did you go
used to
every
it.
day?
Oh, sure, you go to school. We had to go to school every day. And,
Well, how long was it? Was it about the same length as today's school? Or longer, or not?
what, you mean hours?
Yeah,
Oh,
did you go in
no,
the
it was the
morning
same
or-
as, yeah.
In the afternoon?
Yeah, right. But then there was the days that, we only had nuns and priests, we didn't have the lay teachers, and all we knew was the nuns, But we did have in fact, the trains was where you would get cold, like through the winter, I tell you, we lived poor. And the boys would go over there, and the coal that would fall off the freight cars, they would.
Your brothers did that?
Put in buckets and bring home. Oh yeah.
They could get enough?
Not only us, everybody was doing it.
That was enough
You'd
to
be-
heat your house?
Well, you could take
all
all
you
you
had?
could get, yeah. Oh no, we could buy it, but
But that helped.
yeah, right. And there wasn't only us, God, everybody was doing it. And really, you'd be surprised how much coal you got.
Huh.
I know why. I guess they filled the freight cars so full,
Yeah.
naturally the coal, it was not
Yeah.
coal.
Huh.
Did it stink when it burned? Was
Oh,
your
no,
house?
no, I can't say that. No.
You said you had kerosene heater, but that was later.
Yeah, that was before.
That was before the
Yeah.
coal?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought that was after.
No,
Oh.
You had a kerosene heater like this?
Well,
Not as good as that. We have one of those little,
Oh,
you hardly see them anymore,
The top lights up?
Yeah, and then it had the wick in it,
Yeah.
and when
I
that
used to have
wick,
that for camping.
would get too low, God, it would smoke all over the place. They were considered dangerous, but,
yeah, right.
But when we went to Sutton Street, we had it, we thought it was better, but,
Was that close to the coal yard too? Is that where you started
well, we
going to
lived on
school?
Fifth Street, and the coal yard was American, maybe, let's see, what, third? About 5 squares, I guess.
And that's how far you had to walk
Go to school, and well, before, yeah, but we had 2 streets after we passed the freight yard.
Oh.
You know, we
So you had a long walk.
Oh, yeah, we had a good long walk. But like everything else, you got so used to it. Well, you know, just like Donald, she used to walk from Dresden to McKinley. You know, I mean, you get used to that. It don't seem to be, you know, it's something you do, and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
We're out, Bob, you're only two?
yeah, he was in Philly.
Was he a different part of town?
Yeah, he lived in Kensington. But now this is after I was a young woman. You
Now,
know, I
how
mean,
long
you're
did
talking
you go to school, though?
to the 8th grade.
To the 8th grade?
Yeah, but no high school.
Then what did you do after?
Worked.
Where'd you
That's
work?
probably common, wasn't it, 8th grade?
Oh, yeah. When you went to college them days, I mean, high school was like college, you know. No, I was 14 in September, and I worked through that summer because they knew I was going to be 14. I didn't have to go back to school. But them days, you had to go to continuation school. See, until I was 16, I had to go 1 day a week. But that was everybody did it. It wasn't just me, you know. That was it. Everybody that went to the 8th grade
Okay.
had to go until they were 16, you know. So,
What was that like, continuation school?
well, just really
Like
wasn't
high school,
nothing.
or-
No, just almost what you learn in the school, you know.
Uh-huh.
I think it was just till time till you were 16.
So
Because
you worked during the summer when you were 14?
I worked that summer, and then I was 14 that September.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I worked like a couple of months before I was 14.
Well, how'd you do continuation school and work?
Well, see, when you work, they let you go off that was the law. So they left you off 1 day a week. They had to.
Oh.
Until you were 16.
Well, what kind of wages did you make?
Oh, God, if I made $2, I guess I made a lot.
$2 a month or a week? Or
I really don't. In fact, I think maybe I didn't even make that much.
what did you do with all
Dollars
your
look like
money?
they do now?
Oh, yeah. The paper money was real big.
Huh?
Real big. You know.
Do the coins look the same?
Yeah, the coin, yeah. But the paper money was a little bit bigger. Not that much bigger,
Do
but
you still have
What are we
lots?
talking, 1920?
Huh?
1920 about? Is that what time you're talking about now? 1920?
Well, let me see. 14, I'm 80.
You're born in
You're
02?
82, aren't you?
I was born in 1902, yeah.
Oh, then you're almost 85, 84 right now, right?
1918.
Yeah, well, 1918, I was really, around 16, 17, because that's when the World War War, 1917, that's when that broke out. Yeah,
And how old were you then?
I was working, I must have been about 14, 16.
What'd you do with where you worked?
It was
Factory?
a hosiery factory. And all I did really was, I think I was just a clean-up girl, a kid. I had to, oh, no. He wasn't old enough.
He was younger than you, wasn't he?
Yeah, Fred was a year and a half old. He was, we were married in June, and he was 21 the following January, so see, he was really young.
And how old were you? You were...
Well, I must have been 22. I think I must have been 22, yeah. A year and a half.
Yeah.
What was you talking about, that place you were working?
Yeah, she was a cleanup girl, the hosiery.
It was a hosiery mill, but I didn't know anything. It was my first job, and all I had to do was really, if the girls needed, the girls who were really working on to hosiery, if they needed anything, I would go get it. So really, I was just like
How long did you work there?
Oh, I don't know, about a year, I guess, and then from there I went over to the Valcone.
What's
That was a dye place where they dyed all kind of cloth.
How'd you get involved in that? I mean,
Well, somebody I knew, I forget now who it was, asked me if I wanted to go over to Valcone. I made
was it
another.
closer?
No, it wasn't the closer, but I made it a dollar store,
Oh.
and I liked it much better. It's nice.
What did you do there?
Inspect. I was inspector. One day, you wore a serge and work cloth and all that kind of stuff, and everything had specs in it. When it came from the, what do you call it, the mill, I guess. You know, where it was woven or what, I don't know. But that's what we did.
You made specs in it?
We pulled them out. So they'll be ready for your suits and coats and stuff, you know.
Oh,
You'd be
so it
surprised.
wouldn't be bumpy like?
Yeah, well, all the, like, the little specks of cotton, even little bits of wood. It was funny, but that's what was in the stuff, you know.
How long did you work there?
I'm just funny. I knew it.
What was it, like a big factory?
Oh, yeah, great big factory, yeah.
And all they did was spec there?
No, well, it was a dye, dye, yeah, they dye all
They had
this
to
stuff.
spec it before they dye it?
No, after.
After?
Well, after it was inspected, then, inspected, not inspected, then it was,
Okay.
See ya.
okay,
And did
thanks.
you want to say something else about, wasn't Boss?
Oh, yeah, I made a big boo-boo. I said January, and I meant February. Oh,
Yeah, we're still on, it's just that the TV isn't on.
Okay.
Maybe you'll see it, so we
Oh,
won't be
oh,
talking
okay.
about it.
Your
Okay.
Groundhog Day.
And maybe you'll be more comfortable.
Well, anyway, no, Fred was born on Groundhog Day. We'd rather have that in mind.
No, that's all right. Well, that way we can see you have a surprise after it's over.
February the 2nd. And, you know, that was his
How old
birthday.
would he be now? When was he
Well,
born?
now, wait, he was, last week, he was 2nd of February. Well, he was born 1906.
Oh, so he'd be 81 this year.
Yeah,
He would
well,
have just turned 81.
yeah, he was born 1906. So, you know, that's, I don't know why I said
And you were
January.
born in 1904?
This is it.
1904, oh, okay.
Uh-huh. I think. Well, yeah.
Well,
I
you're just
think-
going to be 83 then.
Right, yeah, 83,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So prime time.
Yeah, prime time in my
What
life.
did you do at nighttime instead of watching TV?
Well, what do you think we do?
I mean, you didn't have radios then either,
No,
did you?
not like, no, and I as a kid, we didn't. But Parcheesi, jacks, we used to love to play jacks. You ever play jacks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, yeah.
it is.
And that's about it, and the
That's how you got
cards.
so good at Parcheesi, huh?
Yeah, but little Rye, he still beats me. That little bugger, boy, you can't beat that kid.
Oh, he's
Boy, oh
smart,
boy.
huh?
I like to play with him, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be a good chess player now.
Do you know how to play chess?
No, I don't even like to watch it being played.
Kind of boring.
Yeah, Fred and Freddie used to play, and I never... To me, I don't know, it's not a bit interesting, but I guess you have to have the brains to play it.
No, I
They
don't
say...
necessarily think it's brain.
Well, I
but
think it's tricky, though.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
tricky.
it doesn't mean that you couldn't play it.
But, oh, God. But Rye, he really is good at that. But he still beats me at Parcheesi.
So what would you do? Come home from school and then you... Now, when you said you had one room on each floor, what was it like? Was the bottom room the kitchen?
Well, when we lived in Fernbrook Avenue, the house I'm talking
The
about.
Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yeah, right. I was only, really a kid. See, but
Was the next house that you lived in different? I mean, it
Well,
was
that's
the Father,
Sutton-
Son, and Holy Ghost.
Oh, yeah, Sutton Street. Boy, we had a big house. At least we thought. When we went from Fernberger Avenue to Sutton Street, we were going up in the world, if you want to call it that. We had what they call a parlor, and then we had a big kitchen, and that was it. And then upstairs we had 4 bedrooms.
Were they separate rooms?
Oh, yeah, 4 bedrooms, yeah. But then after we got married, like I told you, the men used to have to go down to the bathhouse, to take showers, and my friend couldn't see that. He couldn't see,
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
1 sister and 2 brothers.
One sister, there was just enough bedrooms for everybody.
Oh, well, we slept together,
The
really.
2 girls slept
Yeah,
together. the
Laura
2
and I
brothers.
slept together, and Johnny and Bill, you know.
And then you had 1 extra room?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was nice. Is that
I mean, we had plenty of room as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have 3 stories then?
Oh, no, it was nice. We had 3 stories, yeah, but we
What
had
was the
more
top
room.
Story?
2 bedrooms. We had
Oh, 2 bedrooms on the top, 2
third,
bedroom in the
2
second.
bedrooms on the second,
Oh.
and downstairs. And then after when Mom got the bathroom put in, then we had a shed built. which gave us like a little room downstairs. But we lived in the kitchen, really. It was the only warm house.
But no heat in the upstairs.
Oh, God, no.
And no central heat, right?
No, not growing up. We, let me see. We had no heat upstairs. But then, I don't know if it was Joe Laurie or who it was, put a hole in the ceiling, and I left some of the heat up. But that was after
The
I was
second story, but not the third?
No, just a
Third
second.
story wouldn't get anything.
Nothing
Did
at
you
all.
have to sleep on the third?
Let me see, Johnny, we had the third. We had the third story back, Laura and I, and the kids, Johnny and Bill had the third story front. My mother and father had the second story front. And then the second story back, it was, just like a spare room, where Mom put all her junk.
Oh, jeez. Did you have an attic or a basement?
Well, we had an attic, but it wasn't usable, it was not,
Yeah.
we had the trap door that went up to the attic, but,
Nobody ever went
no,
up.
oh God, I don't even know what was up there.
Didn't you say before that you had dirt floor in the basement?
Oh, yeah, it was dirt,
Yeah.
it really was dirt, and it was dirt for years
And
and
all
years.
wooden stairs going down to it.
Mhm.
It sounds like my mom's basement.
Yeah, no, that was really a dirt floor until, and years and years after it was really, it's grown up, way grown up, when they had to cement it,
What was your day like? What were your weekends like? What did you do on weekends? I mean, you didn't go to school.
I don't know, hon, I really don't. You just
Hung around.
all I remember
Was there
going
a
to
park
church.
or anything?
Huh?
Was there a park or anything? Did you ever go to a park?
Not close, not close, nothing like, you had to take a trolley car, but, I don't know, we played rope and,
Was there a
skipped,
sidewalk and stuff in front of your house?
in front of the house.
Is that where you played?
That's where, yeah, we just had the sidewalk, the steps were right to the sidewalk, we had no porch or anything.
There would have been, I'm sorry, keep going.
That's all right.
There would have been 5 kids in your family if that one that swallowed the marble would have lived, or is that one that...
It would have been 5, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 boys and 2 girls, and Jerome, he died when he was 6 months old, but he died on Fernberger Avenue.
Oh, he died before
Yeah,
you moved?
yeah,
Oh.
But, no, you ask him what we did. I don't know, we,
Just
like I said, we skipped rope, we skipped rope and played jacks on the front step, and I don't know, just
Sounds like fun, though.
junk like that.
Did you have a lot of friends there?
Oh,
A lot
yeah,
of
kids,
in
my God,
neighborhood?
the whole neighborhood was nothing but kids,
Oh, really?
Sutton Street is a very small street, a narrow street. 2 automobiles couldn't pass.
Uh-huh.
You had to go up on the curb.
How old were you when they started having automobiles like in your neighborhood and stuff?
Well, hon, now there was always in the machine, automobiles, but we couldn't afford them,
Uh-huh.
Now, I can say about Fred now. My Fred had a nicer home than we did,
Uh-huh.
That's why he couldn't see going down to the bathhouse to take a shower. That he was the one that gave Mom the money to start her bathroom.
Yeah.
See, he had heat.
Central?
Yeah, he had heat and all that kind of stuff. But see, they could afford it, And you could have those conveniences, but
Yeah.
if you had the money, But see, Fred came from Kensington, which at that time was a nicer
Was
neighborhood.
that like a suburb or something?
No, it wasn't actually a suburb, but it's just a different part of the city. Just like Linden, and, like that,
Yeah.
See, and where we lived on Dresden, it was supposed to be Kenmore Park,
Uh-huh.
if you want to be classy.
Oh.
But that's what I mean, it was just another neighborhood,
Oh, yeah.
But he did come from Kensington, which was a rough neighborhood, too.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
He just had, it was
The
just a
houses were
little-
nicer, but the gangs, they used to gang, them days, the fellows used to hang on the corners.
Uh-huh.
And every neighborhood had their... Now, I'm not talking about the gangs you hear about today. Go around shooting and this and that. They were just guys who stood around the corner. Yeah. Oh, yeah, whistle to the girls as they passed and stuff like that. But everybody knew them. He wasn't afraid to know how. He was afraid to pass them. Because they knew you,
Did you, when did you go on your first date? Did you go out a lot before you met Bob?
No, there's a guy across the street, Joe Ritter, and we used to go out, together, but
What'd you do for a date?
for a date,
Uh-huh.
went to the movies.
Was it very far from where you lived?
It was a good walk, and we had a walk, we had no car. But, no, Rizzy Astor was the nicest one in the neighborhood at that time. There was two other ones, the Mammoth and Gerard. But the Gerard was more of a vaudeville house. That's where they had the acts. You remember vaudeville acts?
Yeah.
You heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a Gerard. But we couldn't always afford a Gerard, so we used to go to the Astor, to a movie, and then, across from the Astor was an ice cream parlor. And I'm talking about an ice cream parlor that was an ice cream parlor. That's where
Ice
all
cream and shakes?
yeah, stuff like that. It was more soda though than shakes for some reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was our Saturday, that was our date. And then in them days, you didn't date every night. See,
One night a week or?
Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. That was
Those
our
are the
big
only
night.
times. How old were you when you went in your first date? About 16 or?
Well, I was working on early. Oh no, I had to be.
Took it off.
I think I must have been about 19, 20
That's
even.
when you went out with the kid.
No.
Right across the street?
Oh, yeah, well, him, I was raised with Joe.
Uh-huh.
I was only, I guess about 5. Yeah, about 5 when we went up to Sutton Street, and they lived there even before us. So I knew Joe all my life as far as that goes, But he was a nice guy, very nice guy. But, I don't know. There was no love or anything between us. We were just good friends, really. And I liked his sister. His sister and I were pretty friendly. And she had a boyfriend, so I think that's how we came to go out. And
Oh.
Helen would go out with, I forget the guy's name, and Joe and myself would go out, with
Yeah.
them. So that's more or less how we got together. But my real love, and always will be, was my old man,
Tell me about when you
Oh,
first met him.
gosh. I'll never forget the day I saw that guy. He worked up in the office. In fact, I think he was only an office boy because he was only 17,
Uh-huh.
And,
You were 18
but-
and a half?
yeah, well,
Or 18
always
something.
put that year and a half on there,
older, Okay.
But anyway, I was working with Mary Miller, I'll never forget. And the door opened and here this kid came in.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
No,
Oh, you
I
never
know
see those eyes?
All I could see was those beautiful brown eyes. Oh, they were beautiful.
What color was his hair?
Kind of brownish.
Was it?
I didn't look at anything but
Oh.
that's all I could see. And I said to Mary Miller, he didn't look at me. He was just coming in the door. He needed a box from the shipping room, and we worked in the shipping room.
Was this that same job that you had?
No, this is Early Brothers down at 3rd and Keller Hill.
When did you start working there? Right after the other job?
Oh, I left at Valpone, and all the time I was saying a little bit more money.
Oh,
Okay. Let's go put it right on your head.
oh, he fell down again.
He's all right.
Okay, go on.
I wanted to take care of him.
He just got him. He was,
You sure?
yeah.
But anyway, oh, God, I love
Poor
him.
little guy.
Why don't you go down?
He's,
Is he all
there's
right?
nothing more I can do for him that
Oh.
Tiki isn't doing for him. He's putting a cold egg in his
Anyway, I was working with Mary Miller at the time, See, I was a shipper. I mean, we worked at tables. We stood behind tables,
What, you just stood
shipping orders, filling orders, and then, of course, we had them box them for shipping.
What'd you buy?
Well, Early's was a tassel place where they made these beautiful fringe and all kind of ball fringe and
Oh.
stuff like that. Years ago, all your theaters had this great big fringe. You remember the curtains?
Oh, yeah.
They used to open when the plays would come on, or even the movies,
Oh,
really.
yeah, there was an old theater like that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
when they would open to show you the screen.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm going way, way back,
Oh, yeah.
But they had that beautiful fringe and
And a big velvet curtain.
Yeah,
with
right.
Tapestry.
Yeah, right. And that's what Early's made, was the ball fringe. They dyed it and everything there.
That was right after your job where you picked out the little ball.
Yeah, Balcone, the
Balcone.
Balcone. That's the only three places I ever worked.
Mhm.
I never called the stand at Hoseby much of a job because I wasn't there that long, you know. And I didn't know anything. I was only a kid, you know, out of school. And Groundlake, my sister's girlfriend, she was the one that got me in there, you know. And, but anyway, getting back to my old man, like I say, and I said to Mary Miller at the time, I'm going to marry that guy someday. As true as the God's above me. I know why. I didn't know if he had red, blue, black blood or what.
Did you feel it, or did you say off the top of the head?
When I was the guy, I'll never tell you the feeling I had. Never. Because I don't know myself, you know. But when I saw that guy, I don't know.
There was just an attraction there, huh?
Something, I don't know. Mary laughed at me, and I was sorry I said it afterwards, because every time he came in, then they would tease me. Because she had to spread it around the shipping
Did he
room.
ever get word of it?
No, not at that time. And then I had a hell of a time trying to get him to look, you know, to talk to me. See, I had charge of the boxes. If you had fringe, all size boxes, you know, and I knew the different size boxes. And, because I told you he worked up in the office, and he used to bring samples down, and he needed boxes for these, you know, to ship samples, to ship to different places. We had a lot of big, like Marshall Field and Abraham and Strauss. We used to send to a lot of big stores in New York, Chicago. Well, anyway, it was my job, if anybody needed a box, to help them find the box they needed, you know. And of course, Sam DeVere, he needed a box, you know, sometime, and that's how we got acquainted. But oh, that bugger, he wouldn't, let me see, I don't want to lie. But I think the first time he was looking for, I knew he was looking for a box, you know, but he wasn't saying anything to anybody. And I went over and asked him, could I help him? And I'll never tell you the remark he gave me. Oh, such a nasty remark, really. And I thought, oh, little bugger, you know. And here I was going to marry her, you know.
Yeah.
And I went back to Mary, and I was mad. I said, oh, that, you know, so. I said, I don't know what he said to me. I couldn't catch it, but I knew it wasn't the best thing in the world, you know. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, but gradually we...
No, wasn't there a time when you said something, take your hat off?
Oh, yeah, oh, that was funny. Do you ever work around factories?
No.
You know, I think it's hard to explain it to somebody that don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, but them days, of course in the summer, and you would always sit outside at lunchtime, you know, and that was
That's
nothing
where you
new.
ate your lunch.
Yeah, And you sat there just to get a breath of air, you know. So Mary, well, the girls I worked with, there was 4 of them, we were all sitting on the, it was by the window, really, with a little cement thing there. And, of course, see, I told you they were kidding me about Fred. Every time he came in, Mary, here he comes, Mary, here he comes, you know. And so anyway, he came walking up the street. He was always as straight as a die, you know.
Did he ignore everybody?
Well,
Was he real hot?
he was kind of snooty, really. But oh, he was handsome. Oh God, he was handsome. And they used to wear those stiff straw hats, you know. And of course, he had a stiff straw hat on. And when he passed us, I said, do you have a bird under your hat? You know, usually a fellow will tip his hat to you. At least they should. That's manners, you know. And you know what he said to me? And if I drop dead this minute, I mean, it's the God's honest truth. He said, we're not married yet.
Okay.
He, honest to God, if I dropped dead...
What did you say?
Well, I mean, it was so funny for him to say that.
Weren't you flabbergasted?
I couldn't imagine. We all laughed because I had said I was going to marry him, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a crazy...
What'd they say? I bet
Well,
they
they
all
laughed,
giggled,
yeah, they
weren't
all laughed,
Would
you
he
know.
then just walk away?
Oh, yeah, he kept on walking. That was supposed to be
And he never tipped his hat.
That was supposed to be a sarcastic remark. You know, we're not married yet, you know, like that. And I thought, you bugger you. So, I don't know how long afterwards, you know, I saw him every day, naturally had to come in and get boxes. But sooner or later, I couldn't even tell you how long afterwards he, you know.
And when he started coming into the office, maybe he'd say something and you'd talk back.
Yeah, well, I always had to take care of the boxes.
And he had to work with you.
Yeah, he always had to ask me, you know. And what was easier for anybody to ask me than go all through the boxes trying to find a size that you needed, you know. But anyway, after we got, after we got started together, my God.
What was your first date with him?
He was a runner, and that's what our date was.
What did he do?
I wasn't saying run.
Yeah, but how did he ask you out? Do you remember what he said?
Oh, geez, hon, I don't know. We had talked so much, in work that I really forget what was said, See, we talked a lot, just work and stuff, until we gradually got, more romantic, if you want to call it that. But, no, our first day was, he ran, went to a meet. And, so that night he came back, Mom had, supper, we didn't call it dinner then, she had made something, and then we went to, a movie, But our day really was...
When did you meet his parents? Was it that first date?
Oh, when I met his parents was after Doll was born.
You didn't meet his parents? I mean, they didn't even come to your wedding?
Well, I was a Catholic, and, Fred's father
You
always...
never even met them? They wouldn't meet you?
Fred said, the first time I always said, and I'll tell you, I always said, if it wasn't for the kids, I don't think I would ever know my in-laws. But the kids brought us together,
Yeah.
And after we after we got to know each other, they couldn't have been any nicer to me, But at the time, Mary was a Catholic, which was no good at all. And then Fred was a runner, like I told you. I think his father always thought he was going to the Olympics, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I was the one that squashed that, because after we started to go together, running was,
He was just involved
running was out. But that was funny though, how we met. I always remember that. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And then, and we went together. We had a lover's quarrel, and he went away for a while. I'll tell you that.
How did he ask you to marry him?
Oh, geez, hon, I don't know. That's been so...
Did he get down on his knees?
Oh, God, no.
No?
Oh, my God, no. If I said he did, I'd be lying. No, I don't remember getting down on his knees for anything,
You're going to marry me, Bonnie.
Oh,
How'd you get Bonnie as a name?
Oh, I was from my uncle up in Westport.
Oh.
He must have read a book. I guess I was a little bugger when I was, a little bit of a thing. And my mother always went up to Westport, Connecticut for the summer. See, my father, I told you, took the show horses around. And he always took them to Kentucky through the summer to show them off. And my mother used to take us kids up to Westport, Connecticut to stay with my father's aunt. So she wouldn't be alone. And, what was I going to tell you?
Why did you get Bonnie?
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, my uncle up there must have been reading a book, and it was called Bontot. I don't remember, I was too little, But it seemed like everything, at least that's what his story was, everything the kids in the book did, he started to call me Bontot.
Were you a bugger?
I don't know, I don't know. Evidently, you know what to do when you're a little kid. But anyway, that's how I got my name, Bontot.
Bontot? So they called you Bonnie?
Yeah. Then,
it always... a little bugger.
Well, look like Doll. Now, you know how she got her name? I told you a million times.
She was
She was so little, and my mother used to say, "Come on to Josie and Mitts. Come on, look at a little doll baby." Like you say about any baby, they have a doll baby, And the name, but that's really how she got the name of Doll. Isn't that crazy? Well, look at Bob. You know how my old man got his?
Because Rick couldn't say his name.
Rick called him Bob, and one time I said to him, "Do you want me to try to get him, meaning Rick, to change, your name?" He said, "No, that kid called me, anything." He wouldn't change it because he started to call it himself, But we never, and still don't know how Rick ever got the name of Bob. I don't know what he was trying to say. What would that kid be trying to say?
You
Bob?
got me.
Well, anyway, that's where Bob got his name. Well, that's what I mean by Doll, And about me, Bon, his name just stuck to you.
Yeah.
And the same way with Miss. Now, how'd she get her name?
What's her real name?
Loretta.
Loretta. I never even heard you say that before.
Well, her name is Loretta after her mother. My mother used to say, come and look at the little Missy, meaning Miss, and meaning, Loretta. And look at the little Missy instead of looking at the little doll baby. Look at the little Missy and, no, he
So they
doesn't.
call her Miss.
Miss.
Isn't that something? I never knew her name was Loretta.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she got Miss. Now her friends, like Mary Donahue and her neighbors all call her Loretta,
Uh-huh.
And just like Freddie, the people down there call him Fred, they never call Freddie Freddie, it's always Fred. So it's just what people
Yeah,
know you when you're a bit little,
Yeah.
But, yeah, Miss got her name like that too, Missy.
So I want to hear about your wedding day.
Oh, God.
What was your dress like?
Oh, to me it was beautiful,
Uh-huh.
but it was short.
Was it short sleeved or long sleeved?
No, it's short sleeve.
Uh-huh.
It was sleeveless when we bought it. And for that time, you couldn't have gone into church with a sleeveless dress, So Mom bought the same. It was like, I don't know. What's that real? I think it's
Lace or silk?
Georgia crepe de chine. I forget. It was a different name than you hear today.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, Mom got enough short sleeves to match the dress itself,
Uh-huh.
and she beaded the ends of it. See, my dress was
pretty.
my dress was beautiful, really, and it was satin and beautiful. I mean, satin and beaded. At that time, everything was beads.
Was it a regular waistline?
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
And did it have beads all over
It,
it?
yeah, it just had just a nice top, but the skirt was full, and it had satin flowers,
Oh, I bet that was pretty.
sunflowers, and the flowers were all beaded. It really was pretty.
And it wasn't all the way down to the floor.
You know, right below my knees,
Huh.
right? Well, my picture will show it. You
Yeah,
can
I'd
see it
like
on
to
my.
see that.
Well, when you come to Columbus, you ask me, I got it. It'll show you how short it was, Well, and then, of course, my veil was long.
Uh-huh.
My mother made my veil, and that was really, real
That
long.
was pretty.
It was beautiful. I still got the lace from it, but
You don't have the veil anymore?
no, Marie Ecker coming out of church, she tread on it, which started a tear.
Oh.
When it kind of pulled it off my head. So, and then, I don't know, just, I think sometimes it might have, even from getting old, it might have, kind of pulled apart. But I don't have it anymore, no veil at all, but I do have the lace.
Yeah.
But my wedding day, well, we got married 9 o'clock in the morning.
On Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, that was the day to
30th of
get
June?
30th of June. That was the day to get married. Them days, Wednesday. Dal got married on a Wednesday
Yeah,
too.
same day as you, too.
Yeah, on our 22nd anniversary. Well, anyway, we came out of church and we went along Broad Avenue, blowing a horn like they all
You were in
do.
a car? You had a car then?
Oh yeah. No, we didn't have it. It was we had hired it. It was a
Oh.
limousine, and it was just we all got piled in. We only had the one car.
Did you have a big
No, I
wedding?
guess not. I guess not because I had it was Marie and Sage and the fellas, Bill and Joe Laurie, and Fred and I, and the two girls. And we must have had 2 cars. I was really, the only thing I really remember from church, see, Marie Eckert's, my girlfriend, her mother never left the house. She never left the house. Not that she was sick, but that was,
She just was a homebody?
yeah, she never left. So I love Mrs. Ecker. She was so nice. And Marie and I was like that, I mean, I was over there so much. So Mrs. Ecker wanted to see me, see me in my dress and veil. So we stopped at Eckert's,
Oh,
but I was the only stop. Then we went along Broad Avenue blowing the horn. And the first in Gerard was a traffic cop, and he was a friend of the family. And that time he was, directing traffic. And as we passed, he knew it was me, in the car. And the next thing, when we came back from riding around, here he was at the house. He came down to get a couple of drinks, at Bonnie's wedding. So I remember that. And then in the afternoon, we took our clothes off after breakfast. We had everything in our house. Everything was, at the house, and we took our clothes off.
Was Fred there? Or
Oh, that bugger, Joe Laurie and Bill and another guy, they would play the pool all afternoon down.
So right as soon as they got done with the ride, he went to the pool hall?
Oh, no, well, we had breakfast time.
Oh.
And then we bummed around for a little bit, around the house. We didn't go nowhere. And after we got our breakfast, it was hot. It was the 30th of June. We were glad. I was glad to get the veil off. Boy, that felt like
I
a
bet.
blanket on you. And then you're dressed up, you.
Oh, yeah.
I was glad to get out of the clothes and, put something, put a house dress on,
So then he went to the pool hall.
And then, well, anyway, after we were supposed to go rest. We were supposed to go rest, but we didn't.
Because the reception was in the
In the evening, yeah. And so the guys went down to Fraunhofer's and they played the pool all afternoon. So that was a fun day, though. See, my mother had the eats up in the second story back.
Oh.
Yeah, because downstairs they wanted for dancing. So everything was taken out. I think we only had the kitchen and shed,
What do they do for music? They have radio then?
Well, yeah, we had a Victrola.
Oh.
But anyway, she had the table and all the food upstairs. And downstairs was just nothing was downstairs. Everything was taken out just for them to dance, Well, what I'm trying to tell you, in the shed where in the bathroom, because we had the window, and they were putting sandwiches on string and putting them down so the guys downstairs could have a sandwich. I had to explain some of that stuff to you.
Out of the window?
Yeah. They were,
Upstairs window?
yeah. See, that's where the food was, upstairs. And they wanted to eat. This was in the middle of the afternoon.
Which guys wanted to eat?
Well, like my uncle from New York, and a couple of Pop's friends, just
So
roaming.
someone just went upstairs and was dropping them sandwiches?
My mother was doing that. She was putting them in, we didn't have plastic sandwich bags, and it was just regular wax paper. So she was wrapping them in wax paper, putting them on a string, and putting them out the window down. Oh, I don't know why we did it, but anyway, I remember that.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cute. Now we talk about it, but the time we just did it,
Yeah, they just grabbed it off the string.
Yeah, see the beer, they were sitting out in the yard, really. And the beer was out in the yard, so...
Did you have the bathroom on there then?
Oh, yeah.
Before he
Oh, no, I'm telling you a lie. It was after we had been married. No, I'm telling you a lie, because I'm talking about our wedding day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, Fred, this happened really, I don't know. I think about 3 or 4 months after we were married, because when Dolly was born, we had the bathroom. Do you know what I mean? She was born 15 months after we were married, and by that time we had the bathroom and everything. So, no, this is on, we didn't have the bathroom. It was a shed. The bathroom was made out of, maybe I should have put it that way, It was a little room that we never even used, and that's where they enlarged for the bathroom,
Oh, yeah.
So that's where the window came in. But, the guys was out in the yard drinking beer, and of course they were getting hungry, they wanted something to eat, so Mom was making sandwiches and putting it down like that, So.
What kind of sandwiches they have, do you remember?
Roast beef here.
Oh,
Yeah, the food was the same as everything.
Yeah, you didn't have bologna though, did you?
Well, anyway, I really forget what no, I think we had a pretty good,
Big stuff.
yeah, we had a pretty nice wedding.
Yeah, but did you have bologna as a regular day thing? Did they have
Oh,
bologna?
yeah, everything like they had today, yeah. Oh, yeah, we used to go down to Burke's. Burke's was a big meat house, They had delicious meat, But I was going to tell you something else you might have like to hear.
About your wedding day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, about going down and getting my whitening for my shoes. That was funny. Well, I'll say about 4 o'clock, when it was time to start thinking about getting dressed for the evening, Laura, the kids' shoes were dirty. Peggy's and Mitchell's. Good little bits of kids that got their shoes dirty, So anyway, Maria, Slade, and I, we walked down to the shoe store. Well, the shoe store was where we always bought shoes. You know what I mean? He really knew it. Knew me anyway, knew us, you know. And so he knew I was getting married because I had one of my shoes there to get married in, you know. So anyway, we went in for the whitening for the kids' shoes, and he said, Bonnie, ain't you getting married one of these days? Or ain't you getting married soon? I just forget what he said. I said, yeah, I got married this morning. Well, they didn't let me forget that for so long. And Marie said, Bonnie, you said that just like
That can happen every day.
it happened every day. Yeah, I got married this morning. Well, I do remember that. We did laugh over that, you know.
Then when did you go back and then you got
Oh, yeah, then we went back and got, ready for the night, put my veil back on, and, all that. Because people come in the nighttime, I hadn't been to the wedding, to the mass, I mean.
And how long did people stay? Did you
Well,
stay till everyone left?
Oh, God, no.
You put your suitcase.
They said my wedding lasted for the whole week. I don't know, that's like my doll's wedding lasted for the week. But I guess it lasted all night, but we went down the shore on the milk train.
What did you do with your suitcase? Did you say you gave it to the neighbors?
Yeah, like, early that morning. I mean, after we first came home from church, that's the first thing we did, got rid of our luggage, because we didn't want anybody to see us taking it out, because that way they would have followed us.
And
See, them days
or something?
Yeah, them days they like to follow you to the train and make a big scene. Well, for the hell of it,
Yeah.
But we want to know part of that. So anyway, we got rid of our luggage. The neighbor kept it for us, And then when we were leaving at night, see, I didn't say we were going or anything. I just got dressed and then monkeyed around for a while. I didn't just get dressed to go right out, like you do.
Yeah.
And so we had a chance to sneak out.
Yeah.
And of course, everything was all set,
Now, what did you do? You walked to the train station?
Oh, no, we hired a we could never walk to the...
Oh, is it that
Oh, my gosh, honey, was in town.
Oh.
But we had ordered a cab, and we had the cab stop on 5th Street.
Which was away from your
Right,
house?
yeah, see, we lived on Sutton Street, and we had the cab stop on 5th Street where, you could have walked and, so that's how we got away from the crowd. But what I wanted to tell you, when we were sitting in the train ourselves, waiting for the train to pull out, we heard all this commotion, music and all, people hollering, and the woman, she had to be somebody in the bridal party. She hollered, she said, they just got married. What are you talking about, you know? Oh, no, the couple. See, it was a gang from that wedding, whoever it was, brought them to the train. Now, that's what we didn't want. See, that's what they used to do them days. Because you had no cars, huh? A lot of people didn't have cars, and you had to go by train,
Yeah.
And so...
So it was late at night, though?
Well, the milk train, I think it was it went down 2 o'clock. It was the last train down from Philly.
When you call it milk train,
It took the milk down for the milk to be there in the morning, like for the restaurants.
But it still had, like, chairs you could sit in and stuff?
Oh, it was a regular train, huh?
Regular passenger?
Oh, yeah, it was a
I was wondering, it wasn't just a boxcar or something.
Oh, God, no. You would get that impression, wouldn't you?
Just the
No.
sound of the milk train.
Yeah, no, it was a regular train, but it was where they carried the milk down
Just
for
the
morning.
last train that left.
Yeah,
What time
right.
did you leave, about 11 or 12?
No, about 2, I guess.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, you must have been exhausted.
Well,
Too high off the excitement.
we were never too exhausted. But anyway, we, got down the shore, and them days, there was no motels or anything. You got rooms in the boarding houses. They had great big boarding houses, and you'd have a room. Somebody else would have a
So your
room.
wedding night you spent in a boarding house?
Yeah. Well, that was it,
Wasn't that embarrassing?
No, now, see, if we were rich, if we had money, we'd have gone to a hotel. They had hotels them days, but not motels. And but the boarding houses was nothing for you to rent a room. That's just what they did,
Did you feel funny?
Well, I felt funny as going out on the porch,
Think everyone knew what you were
Oh,
doing?
sure, guy. You can always spot a young married couple. And Anyway, the people, I guess there was maybe about 10 or 12 rooms in this boarding house. They were really built, they were really big houses. And the people were sitting out on the porch naturally. Who wouldn't sit out on the porch in the summer? But we had to go out on the porch to get out, to get out.
And you had to change after you went to the beach, but didn't you say something?
Oh, yeah. And we only went to the beach twice because I didn't want to come back and change my clothes, When we were leaving in the morning, I wouldn't come back until it was time to go to bed. Because we only slept there. We never ate there or anything. We just slept, And,
Did you eat at restaurants, though?
well, that's all we could do, hon.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only place you could eat,
What was your swimming suit like then? It wasn't anything like they have now.
Oh, gosh. And I would have a little skirt to it and,
How long was it? Was it
Well, Mom, it was just a little below, It wasn't, no, above my knees. It wasn't that awful
It
long.
wasn't risque like now, though, huh?
Oh, gosh, no. But it wasn't like my mother wore either down Pennsgrove. Now, down Pennsgrove, they were almost down to your ankles.
Oh, my.
Yeah, real long. And they wore stockings
Oh, my.
and bathing shoes. Honest to God. I could show you. I got a picture of Mom and my aunt in the water, and they, I can. It really.
I'd love to see that.
Well, I got it. Sometime when you come,
Yeah.
Now that's my old pictures. That's Pennsgrove,
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, that's Pennsgrove. And we always wore bathing caps.
Oh, yeah.
You never went in with your,
Can't get your hair wet.
So, but no, I never wanted to come back because, you just felt, Fred when it came in, back a million times a
He
day.
didn't care.
He never cared for
Like
me.
Casey, that's all I wanted to do was go back to the room. Let's go back to the room.
Yeah, matinees and everything, huh?
So it's morning,
Oh,
afternoon.
they were fun days though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do it more later, or do you want to keep going? You were going to tell me.
What are we?
You were going to tell me about the dresses in your wedding, the little girls.
Oh, that was
We just talked, yeah.
Yeah, that was Mitz and Peggy, They were about 3 years old. It was the cutest thing. They had little ruffled dresses.
Were they long or short?
Oh, no. Just, you know how kids' dresses are.
Uh-huh.
Just above their real tiny, short, like cute, real cute.
Oh.
And
What color were they?
white.
They had white, too?
Oh, yeah, white with little, bonnets on.
Who were the
And
bridesmaids?
Marie Eckert and Sadie Perry.
Did she wear white, too?
Oh, no.
They had a different color?
Oh, yeah, and Sade wore, Sade wore the light blue because that was her favorite color, and Marie wore light green. Now, when you say blue and green together,
I think it sounds pretty.
do you?
Yeah.
I didn't think so until I actually saw them together, I thought,
yeah.
geez, blue and green? Yeah. But anyway, they wanted those colors because they looked good in them,
Uh-huh.
But anyway, they got them. They were both the same kind of dresses, just different colors. But it was funny, though, Mitz and Peg were about 3 years old, And they're going up the aisle, they kept looking around for their mother, naturally,
Aw.
little kids like that. And Father Rice, he kept going like that. And so, trying to get the kids to come up. Oh, it's cute. It really is cute. But anyway, and then Joe, of course, and my, Bill was in the wedding party.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, my old man had his hair part in the middle,
Uh-huh.
and Joe did too. But Bill, his hair was parted on the side. So, that was about it. Then, after the wedding, I told you, we had a reception at home.
Yeah,
Mom
and
had
your mom was flipping the
Oh,
sandwiches
yeah, that
out
was,
the
that,
window.
that was fun, though. Yeah, she was putting the sandwiches out the back window. Well, the beer was in the yard, and because they were getting hungry, so... But the fellows that were down in the front office playing pool all afternoon.
Oh, was Fred still, or was he still an office boy when you got married?
No, he had left early.
Oh,
He
did
had
he?
left early,
Where did
yeah.
he work then?
Well, what the hell was he doing? I don't know. Selling or something. I know after we got married, Joe Laurie was a welder.
Uh-huh.
And Fred said he'd like to learn how to weld. So it was Joe that taught Fred how to weld.
Uh-huh.
It really was. And
Did you have to quit your job when you were first married? Or
What?
did you wait till you had...
Oh no, I worked 1 week. I think I worked 1 or 2 weeks after I was married, but that was it. Fred didn't want me to work. You
Uh-huh.
know, he didn't.
You were living with your mom after
Oh
you
yeah,
were married.
we lived with Mom till till we went to Allentown. Adele was almost 3 years old.
And Freddie wasn't born yet, was he?
Oh no, Freddie was conceived in Allentown.
Oh.
And the reason we came back to Philly was during Depression, you know, and you couldn't get a job nowhere. In fact, you couldn't even buy a job, you know. So Mom said, we had a nice home up in Allentown, though, you know. But she said, now I can't pay the rent, and I can't pay this or that, but at least I can feed you, give you a roof over your head. So boy, oh boy, we didn't need any coaxing, you know, to go back to Philly. So,
So what, you said you lived on the 3rd floor?
well,
When you lived with your mom first,
Yeah.
right after you were married?
yeah, because we had we had 4 bedrooms,
Uh-huh.
and Johnny and Bill had one,
Uh-huh.
and Laura and Joe had the other one with the kids.
Oh, Laura was married before you were?
6 years.
6 years before you? Holy moly,
Oh.
she had one room with how many kids did she have?
2.
Holy moly! She had 2 kids and her husband in one room.
Hell, I had a friend. I had 1 bedroom with our 2 kids.
Holy moly! Wasn't that kind of...
Kind of crowded,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about depression. We
Oh,
don't.
yeah, you're darn lucky.
Gee,
to
we
have
don't
a
let
place,
it.
yeah.
You done right. And but it was so funny. You know, now when you say all those people in one, one house. At the time, you just
You didn't think of
it's
it.
crazy. You just, I don't know. You just accept it or
Just
go
lucky to have
go
a place.
along with the tide. I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't think anything of it, you know.
It wasn't so bad.
But my mother, she must have had a patience of us say to have us all in there, and never said a first word. Never made us feel like, well, when you're going to get your own place, you know, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Never. Gosh, she must have had a patience of us thing. You know, until you get old, you don't realize. What should I say? I guess we didn't realize what Mom was really, going through.
Well, it's just like I always heard that you don't realize what a mother is going through until you become a mother yourself.
That's
You know,
right.
and
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
I appreciate
But,
my
you know-
mom a lot more now.
Yeah, but like I said, we lived downstairs, and 4 kids in that, I don't know how to say it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Pretty
it
crowded.
it had to be crowded, but like I said, we just didn't think
Everyone
anything
pitched
about
in,
it.
though, and everybody
That's
helped.
right, we didn't think
So
anything of
maybe
it.
wasn't so bad.
Oh, but the fun we had on Sutton Street, oh God, I could go on and on
Tell
and
me
on.
about it.
Oh, there's so much to tell you, honey.
Sutton Street is out before
Farmworker Avenue? No, Sutton Street was really...
was the one where you really did grow up on.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the one where
oh.
after you and Fred were married, you stayed with your parents on
Oh, yeah,
Sutton
that was
Street.
all, that's all.
Tell me all about it.
Oh, jeez, I could tell you
Tell me.
so much. Oh, I couldn't tell you every little... It's
Just
more
say,
than
tell me
years.
everything you think of.
Well, let me see. But we had our own fun, and fun we had. And we didn't have to have any company come in. We just had fun between ourselves.
Was that after you were married?
Oh, yeah, oh,
And you
yeah.
had kids? And
Oh, yeah, we had the kids involved, but they had their own orchestra. Jeff Merkel, he played the accordion, and he could play the piano.
Oh.
And my sister had a little bit of a washboard. We had a little bit of
Oh,
washboard
yeah.
and cymbals. And boy, could she keep time.
Really?
Hmm. And, no, we had, somebody used to play the spoons.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
Who the devil played the spoon? Well, we had our own, we used to have our own little band, the
Uh-huh.
croaker band. But boy, we used to have so much fun. And like I say, we didn't have to have company. It was just between, between ourselves. But my father always liked parties. He always come over to Croker's. He wasn't one to go out much himself. But he always wanted everybody to come, to the house. And those times why they used to have domes over the dining room kitchen table, really. And I always remember Joe was the one who used to tie the dome up to the ceiling so they could dance, because the dome would be low. You take a light over a dining room table, it's low if you're going to walk under it, So anyway, that was Joe's job. He would, tie the dome up, and Pop used to brace the floor.
Was Joe your sister's husband?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how'd your husband and Joe get along?
Good.
Did they?
Like that, but for working,
They didn't get
they
along
both.
working?
When Fred knew how to, when he got into welding, then he knew as much. Well, each one thought they knew as much as the other, maybe more, But Fred always said that he wished when he got his shop that him and Joe could have seen eye to eye, because he would have liked
You can have a partner?
to have Joe in the shop, because Joe really was a number one welder, Have Joe take care of the shop, and he would bring the business, and he always felt like they really would have a good thing going. But they never could see eye to eye when it came to welding.
He didn't have a shop until you
Oh, Fred?
Yeah, until
Oh,
you
no,
moved
he
out,
didn't.
did he?
Oh, no, he was a salesman. Fred was a salesman when he was a young man, Oh, yeah,
How'd you come to move to Allentown? He was a salesman then?
Yeah, he got,
What did he sell?
welding equipment.
Oh, and then they sent him to
Yeah,
Allentown?
he worked for Airco, and
Was
then,
Freddie born there too? Or
no, Freddie,
He was conceived there, but he
Right.
was born in
yeah,
Philly.
I was 2 months gone when, I knew I was going to have, didn't know what I was going to have, but it turned out to be a boy, But like I said, my mom, she said that she could, feed us and give us a roof over our head, but she couldn't pay gas and electric and rent and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Them days you rented more than, anybody who owned a house was,
yeah.
boy, they were rich, Everything was renting. So, no, we came back, and I told you it was during Depression. I told you it was a Depression baby. So, you couldn't buy a job, though. Those days it was, crazy.
What did you have to eat? Weren't things really rationed then?
Oh, yeah, we had,
Sugar and tea,
sugar
coffee,
and coffee, lots of meat, lots of things, really.
What did Fred do then if he didn't have a job then?
Well, he came home, and that's what I mean.
He had to wait until Depression was over?
God, he went out every day. You wore shoe leather out, walking, you couldn't buy a job, really.
How long did that last? Was that a couple
I
of
don't
years?
know. Depression was about 2 or 3 years. And another thing, people that had money lost it.
Yeah.
My aunt owned 2 houses, had money in the bank. She lost all that, stuff. And the only thing that kept us going, my mother, us, my father had a few stocks and Drudings. And he would, sell a share, of stock. And that would keep Mom going for a while, and no, we didn't.
Your dad wasn't working then, was he? Was he
Oh, yeah,
retired?
Pop was lucky.
He still had a job?
Yeah, Drudings, for some reason, kept working. But I don't know how long Fred was out of work. A long, long time.
That must have been hard.
Yeah.
For him, too, and for you.
Well, he hated it, naturally.
Oh, yeah.
I think, most men are proud.
Yeah.
They hate to feel like someone else is keeping them,
Yeah.
And Fred was always a proud guy. He
What
liked to...
What kind of job did you get right after Depression?
The same, he worked over Lupton's, that was, it was a place like, the place down on 4th Street, that big plan. But it was a place like that. It wasn't really a welding shop, but it was that he welded in there, Oh, shoot, I can't think of what I'm trying to think of. But anyway, that's really worked for a long, long time, you know.
Did he sold the equipment then? So
Yeah.
Did he have to travel a lot?
Well, see, that's how he came to go to Birmingham.
Oh, then he
Yeah.
moved to,
Yeah.
right after Depression?
Yeah, let me see, how did that happen? It just seems like another time, you know, it seems so long ago now. But, now wait a minute, I don't want to lie. And he got a job for Lincoln Electric.
Uh-huh.
Now, see, we had no, had no money, I tell you that. And then that's what it was. I was wondering how we got our start, but it was Uncle Tom. He was my father's uncle. And of course, Pop had died, and we got Pop's share. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It was
Yeah.
divided between the four of us. If Pop was living, we wouldn't have got a penny. But anyway, I guess it was about $1,200 apiece. You know, we each got about 12. And I'm talking about Johnny, Laura, Bill, and myself, you know. And so, of course, $1,200, boy, that looked like,
you were rich.
oh, gosh, and how. So for my money, so we got a brand new, oh, shoot, I thought I'd never forget it. It wasn't a Plymouth, a brand new Plymouth. We paid $750 for it.
Gee.
Isn't that crazy? And that was the first time I got a refrigerator. I always had an ice box.
Uh-huh.
That's something you don't know about either, you know.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about it.
Oh,
My
yeah.
sister has an old one.
Oh, has
An
she?
antique, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Iceman always came around, you know,
Uh-huh.
getting your, you're buying you buy an ice from him, you know, and he'd have the big cakes of ice. I think about 50 pounds. Oh, God, that sounds an awful lot, but it was a great big cake. And it would just fit into, it was according to how big your ice box was, you
Yeah.
know. And, but anyway, the Iceman used to come around to give you to sell you the ice like that. But what was I going to tell you?
You bought a new refrigerator and a
Oh,
new
yeah, well, I mean,
car.
that's when that's when Fred got his car. That's what it was. He got his brand new car. So he went over to New York to the Lincoln Electric for an interview. And that's how he came to get the job. Because they
Oh.
asked him what kind of a car he had. And of course he told them he had a brand new Plymouth. And they said, well, that was one of the big things about the job. Because they didn't want their salesmen, the cars breaking down from
Mhm.
call to call, you know. Because Fred had to really... It wasn't like in a city. He had to go out of the city. He had to really travel, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how I think he got the job so quick. So then that was Lincoln Electric. So that was the one that sent us to Birmingham, Alabama, you know.
Oh.
And
Your mom died before that?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
When did she die during the Depression?
Well, yeah, she died in 1933.
When was the Depression? Was it?
Well, the Depression itself must have started about 2 years ahead. You know,
31?
yeah. Well,
Something like that?
yeah, I just forget the timing, you know. But I know 33.
So you hadn't lived there very long then, when
In Allentown?
No, I mean with your mom before when you came back, it wasn't very long before
Oh, no,
she died.
not too awful long, no, not too awful long.
Wasn't she getting dressed for a party?
She was, they were going to, Judy's was going to have what they called a balls then, you know. And Mom was, yeah, she was half dressed, she had a slip on. No, had a slip on, and I'll never forget, she came down the stairs, and she went down on one side. And my old man, Fred and Joe Laurie were sitting there, they were, I don't know, listening to the radio or something, you know. We had no television. And so they went over to grabbed her. My mother was a big woman. Mom weighed over 200 pounds. And they pulled her over to the, Davenport. So, right away, Fred went out to the, for the priest. For the doctor. And Dr. Fred lived at 6th and Girard. And Fred went up to get the doctor, and the doctor brought him back. See, we had no car, but the doctor, naturally, he had a car, so he brought Fred back with him. And as soon as he came in, he said, "My God, get the priest." So Fred ran right over to St. Michael's. I think it was Father Murphy. Came over.
Was she still conscious when he
No.
got there?
She lost. She didn't even follow. She didn't even know the priest was there. She never knew she got the last rites or anything. She just went into a coma, and that was it. You know. I'll remember Dr. Fred when he came in. He knelt beside Mom, and he said, "Now, girls, don't get nervous," because he said, "I have to holler into Mom's ear." I don't think he used the word holler, but he said, "I have to, you know." I just don't know what he said, but he called and hollered into my mother's ear to see if she was conscious of anything, but she never even batted an eyelash. So that proved that she really was out, you know. And so then Fred went over, got the priest, and but
You were nursing Freddie at the
yeah,
time, weren't you?
yeah, that's when I poisoned the poor kid. You know, I didn't realize. You know, they said a shock. You know, the shock.
Oh, what a shock! It's
Shock was
right.
too much, and it poisoned my milk. You know, but
Gee, wasn't it your sister not long after that, or was it your father and then your sister?
oh well, that was. Well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, what? No. That hasn't been too awful long ago. My father died a year after Mom, you know.
Oh,
But you're talking about the time that Laura and my own Fred died,
that's
and
right.
my brother
Yeah.
and my uncle, you know, in 13 months or 14 months, but it was 4 of them gone. But the night Mom died, why, it was terrible because I never saw a person die. I never heard. I mean, I didn't know what that death rattle was.
Did she have it even though she?
Yeah, we thought she was
unconscious?
snoring.
Really?
We thought she was snoring, and the light, it was crazy. We even covered the light so it wouldn't shine in her eyes, you know, try to make her more comfortable, you know. And and then when I stopped, the silence was, oh, God help us. The silence was worse than we called it snore because we thought it was snoring. But they said it was a death rattle. First time in my life I
I've
ever
never.
heard it. And, but anyway, that was it. In 2 hours it all happened.
Oh.
Mom never knew anything. She lost consciousness, right? You know, right away. And,
They used to keep the body in the house.
oh,
didn't
yeah, Mom was buried from the house. So was my father. But Pop died in the hospital.
they? Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah, Pop died in Drudings. That was another sad thing
You
was
don't have to
some-
talk about that if you
No,
don't
no,
want
no,
to.
I don't mean that way, hon. But Pop, I told you, Christmas Eve, everybody went to confession them days. And it was like Easter, Christmas and Easter, you went to confession. You know, everybody went to church.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, Pop insisted that he wanted to go to confession. Now, this was Christmas Eve.
Was that right after your mom
Yeah.
died?
Well,
She died in
Mom,
November?
Mom died in 33. Mom died in November 33, and Pop died 1935 for New Year's Day, right at the beginning of the year, you know. But anyway, the poor guy, he wanted to go to confession. So anyway, Fred took him. You know, Fred said, well, if he wants to go so bad, I'll take him. But I didn't think Pop was up to it. He wasn't feeling that good. And Christmas Eve, oh my God, everybody went, and people were standing all, you know, everybody is going to confession. So I'm stubborn, I don't know why. But anyway, like I said, Pop went to confession, and the next morning, because he went to church, and he staggered going up to the aisle, up to communion. He was, more sick than what we thought he was. And if you hadn't known him, you would have swore he was loaded, because he really staggered, poor guy. And anyway, well, that was Christmas. And Christmas Day, for dinner, he came down to eat with us, but he didn't stay. He just said, he wasn't hungry, you know. So he went right on up to bed. Now that was Christmas Day, and that was the end of Pop as far as getting up again.
You mean he
He
never
was
got
so
up
sick.
after that?
He was so sick he couldn't get up. All of a sudden it hit him. It's crazy.
It's
All-
like he had a will to live before,
Yeah.
and then he lost it.
Yeah, because that was Christmas Day, and between Christmas and New Year's, now that's, it's a week.
Mhm.
He was in a hospital and died New Year's Day.
The next year?
No, the same week. From
Oh.
Christmas to New Year's.
Oh, yeah.
But what I mean is, that's how sick he was, and we never, I never realized he was that sick. Never, because, like I say, he worked up to Christmas Eve.
Jeez.
So, I don't know. But anyway, the poor guy. But I always felt bad. See, he died in the hospital. And if I hadn't known it, he wouldn't have gone to the hospital.
Did they put him in there right after Christmas?
Well, 2 days after Christmas. See, the doctor thought it was too much for me. Dr. Britt was like a friend more. He was a doctor and a friend, the only doctor he ever had. And he thought it would be too much for me because Freddie was only a little bit of a thing, and he was afraid that it was too much for me, taking care of the 2 kids, and Pop was upstairs and wanted to come downstairs all the time.
How did
you
you
know.
get him down?
Well, he didn't, but he wanted to come, and that was all I could do to keep him upstairs, and that's what Dr. was afraid that Pop would fall down the stairs or throw me down with him, trying to get
Was
down.
he big too?
Pop? No, he was a big little man.
Uh-huh.
My mother always called him a big little man, just like Dick. Dick's not a tall guy, but he's a big man.
Mhm.
Don't you think
Yeah.
Dick's got broad shoulders
Oh, yeah,
and
he
all?
does.
So my mother always called a man like that a big little man,
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, they put Pop in during his hospital. For, like I say, New Year's Eve. But I went over, of course, to see him every day. And they say this is a sign of, that somebody's going to die when they keep grabbing.
Really?
Yeah, and every time I went
When
over,
nothing's there?
no, Pop was grabbing, like he was grabbing for something. And Mrs. Kennedy, she was my mom. I don't know what my mother would have done without Mrs. Kennedy when she came to Fruity. But anyway, she said, that's a bad sign. She said, when anybody does that, especially when, they're so sick, it's like a warning, I don't know. But anyway, Pop did that, and she was right, But about my own old man, I said this to Doll, and it's the God's honest truth. Fred, they kept picking at his the bandage, where he was operated on.
Uh-huh.
He had real thick bandage because, see, the fluid, like, from inside was always coming out, when he was tapped. The fluid they used to take out of him. And they had real thick pads on his stomach, on the cut.
Uh-huh.
And so he used to do that too. Dumb of me. I guess I didn't want to think
You didn't
the
want
worst,
to, yeah.
And he kept doing that, but I never,
Was he aware of what was going on right
if
then?
he
Yeah.
was, I don't know. He never.
He didn't act like it
Oh
towards
no,
you?
he never. And he never saw me cry. Never saw me cry.
How would you do that?
I don't know. Oh, hon, God's good.
Yeah.
When you need the strength, you get it. And the doll, she wanted to come down, but my God, she had Dick, she had the kids, you know what I mean? You can't pull. I couldn't expect a kid to pull up and come on down, although she came, she was with me the week before her father died, which I was glad. I was glad of. Because it was such a, to come out from the hospital at night and
Have to go
have somebody
home.
wait, have somebody waiting,
Yeah.
It was so, it's so good, such a good feeling. But anyway, what was I going to say? That was my train of thought. I was going to say something. I don't know what it was. Shoot. But, I'm telling
But then after you were talking about
what was I talking about?
if he was aware of what was going on.
Oh, yeah, Fred, you're talking about, yeah. I don't know, I wasn't, I knew he was because Dr. Dulce, he was so good, you know, oh God, a doctor. He was more than a doctor. He used to say, honey, this is too much for you. Honey, don't you have somebody to come, you know, to stay with you? But like I told him, I said, Doctor, my daughter has a family. My son has a family. I can't expect those kids to drop everything and come with me, you know. They couldn't have helped me, but he thought I needed maybe moral support. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, no, like I
Did your
said,
dad have to have operations when he was in the
No.
hospital?
No,
Was it his liver?
well, it was his liver, yeah. But, I don't know, Pop was crazy that, you know, he went so quick.
It was
And
like
he
a
had
broken
these-
heart, isn't that what the doctor,
Well, hun,
didn't the doctor say it was like a broken heart? Like
oh yeah, he said that my father, he said, we always call Pop, you know. He said Pop might as well die the night your mother died, because he died of a broken heart, you know. But Pop wanted to die, he really did. He had no, I don't know, I don't know how to say it, no reason for living, or he didn't act like he even wanted to live, you know. But
Didn't your mom, well, isn't it you that was telling that your mom used to, if you had a dress and it got worn out, she'd make it into an apron, and if that got worn out, she'd make it into a rug?
oh my God, Mom. If you give her an old coat, she'd make a pair of pants for Bill out of it, you know me. Oh yeah, talking about that. Getting back to Fernberger Avenue when I first met Marie Ecker. Now this is when we first came to Philly from New York. Marie Ecker lived across the street, and her mother always bought her clothes. And I always used to think Marie was so rich because everything I bought was either, I wore was either a hand-me-down or something my mom made from, you know.
Did she sew by hand? Sew it all by hand?
Oh no, she had a
Did she have a
machine.
machine?
Oh yeah, Mom was a good sewer, very good. Poor thing had to. God, she sewed more than, you know, I mean, everything she used to go for remnants and, you know,
Anything she
as cheap
could,
as she
yeah.
could, you know, as cheap as she could. So I always thought Marie Ecker was so rich because everything she wore was bought, and everything I wore was
Hand me down?
hand-me-down or somebody gave Mom, or, you know. But Marie, and that's how long Marie and I have been friends.
A long time. You
Yeah.
still keep in touch just by
Oh,
writing?
God, yeah, we write, yeah. And then when I go to Philly, we talk for hours on the phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have you seen her?
No, Marie lives out in Upper Darby, and it's a pretty good way, you know. And then even after I would take the L, or it's the L, when I got there, I would have a good way to go to Marie's. And Philly,
It's pretty rough.
yeah, so we visit over the phone.
I bet
you know.
it's good, though, that you keep in touch.
Oh yeah, oh God, we talk so long. Marie's like myself, she reminisces. She
Does
loves
she?
to reminisce. Right away, as soon as we get talking, we go right back to Penn's Grove, and we go right back to when she used to come over, you know, play Parcheesi, and you know, we, oh God. You don't want me to keep talking.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
I think it's
Joe.
great. Yeah, keep going. I love it.
I feel like I don't know. But anyway, doing about Marie, see, she was carrying her Marie and I was carrying Freddie. And we used to, Pop, Mom, and her and I would play Parcheesi. And that's how we knew how big we were getting. The further away we get from the oh, gee.
That's cute.
Oh, we had the fun.
Oh.
Oh, we had the fun. We didn't have much money, but oh, the laughs.
You ain't got a barrel of money.
Yes, you're right, hon.
Mom, you start singing
We
that.
didn't have much money, but boy, we had the fun.
Then when you get back to, when you moved to, after your dad died, then the...
Oh, yeah, after I died, I left for, see, I didn't care for Sutton Street, you know what I mean? He didn't like, you know, he,
And then you moved to Alabama.
then, huh?
Then you moved to something worse, Alabama, huh?
Birmingham, Alabama.
And the people were not very friendly there, were they?
Oh, no, they
And
were,
he traveled all the time and left
Right.
you in with
exactly.
kids in the house.
A year, we were down, well, we went down there in March and came back, we were back at Christmas time, you know.
How old was Dawn? And
Well, she was about five and a half, you know. We celebrated Freddie's 3rd birthday on our way down. It took us 2 days to go to,
oh,
Birmingham.
was she 5 years older than him? Or-
5 and a half.
Oh, so she must have been about 8 then, wasn't she?
Yeah. His dad was born in 33. I'm 27.
27?
Freddie was born in 33. But talking about the people down there, boy, there were no part of the North. No part of the North. Them days, even them days, the colored had to walk in the street, and they wasn't allowed to walk on your sidewalk, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then when they found out I was a Catholic, well, that was just...
Wasn't there a
I think I
lady
told you
across the-
that.
Yeah, there was a lady, you had welcome people come.
Oh, yeah, but when they asked me what church I went to, why?
That was it, and they
That
never
was
came
it,
back.
yeah.
And there was a lady across
But that was
the
the
street,
next door
too.
neighbor that I used to ask, come on over, because her husband worked till midnight. And my old man wasn't,
He only came home on weekends, didn't he?
Oh,
your husband?
Fred, yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of where he was. He either came home Friday night late or Saturday, and the same way going back on the next week.
Mhm.
If he had to go too far, he would have to leave Sunday night. But if he could, he hated to do that,
Oh, yeah, but
My
son,
dad
you gotta make a living.
We had just moved down there. The second, oh, he was so mad that time. The second week we were down there, now we didn't know anything, and I had the 2 kids, and the guy sent them over to Georgia for a week.
Sounds like when we moved in here.
Oh God, he was mad.
Keithy was in Iowa the
Yeah.
couple days
And
after
you
we
were
were in the house.
strange.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I was,
I didn't know anyone for a long time.
and
But they weren't that mean
It was-
to me. They just didn't.
that's
weren't
why
real
I
friendly.
always said I didn't like Birmingham. I told to Father Brian one time. I said I hated Birmingham, but I think it was on account of people. I think if I had, friendly people, I think I was lonesome and scared. After all,
Did you ever call? Did they have phones then? Did you call home or? I mean, did you call your sister or
No.
any of your friends?
No, I never did. I never thought. I don't know. I never thought of that. I never called.
Did you
I
have
know.
a phone?
Oh yeah. We had a phone. I wrote, but I never. Ain't that crazy now?
No, well,
Called. I
maybe
called
it would have just
when,
been too expensive too,
when I came to Columbus. God, we talked for hours. She was sick, and Fred was sick, and we couldn't visit. I couldn't go to Philly, and she couldn't come to Columbus. So that's when we called.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the phone bills I had. We used to talk about our soap opera, the soap. Oh my God. Well, then he made good money, he didn't think nothing of it. And it was like our visits, I couldn't go there, she couldn't come here, so that's how we
When did
visit.
you move
But that's
from-
when we really talked on the phone.
Oh, is it?
Oh my God, yes.
When
I-
did you move from Birmingham? I mean, where'd you go to from after
Well,
Birmingham?
when we left Birmingham, we went to 111 West Weber Road. In Columbus, you mean?
You went to Columbus after Birmingham?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So you just moved from Philly to Birmingham
Yeah.
to Columbus?
yeah. Why, if we were supposed to go to Dayton, but when Fred looked around Dayton, he had to get like a little office or something, for Airco,
Mm-hmm.
and.
Is that who he worked for, Airco?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I've heard of that because Keithy deals with them.
Oh yeah, that was a big concern. Hair reduction, yeah. Every day, that was all welding
Advertisements for
stuff.
Airco
Oh
in the
yeah,
welding
yeah.
magazine, even now.
That was all welding stuff. But anyway, we were supposed to go to Dayton, but it didn't work out, so we came to Columbus, you know.
And you didn't know anyone there either, did you?
In Columbus, no,
And you went to Weber Street?
Weber, 111 West, I never forgot the address, West Weber.
Was that the same road that Mom and Dad lived on? Weber? Or wait a minute. No,
No.
I mean the road
No.
that's parallel to Mom and Dad's, because they were in Minnesota, but you had to get onto Weber off of 71 to get to...
Oh, I see what you're talking
That's
about.
the same area,
Well, no.
generally?
Well, this was across High Street. It was in a
Oh.
place called Clintonville.
Oh.
And we didn't live there too awful long.
Did you rent an apartment?
Yeah,
or
oh,
something?
everything was rented. It was a house.
Uh-huh.
It was a double.
And then you just
Like we
rented
had on Republic.
a house and he had part of it for an office?
No, not that. No, he had his office someplace else. I don't know where they settled. But anyway, we lived on Weber for a couple of months. And then the rent was high. We thought we could get cheaper rent. And we were, riding around. And Republic Avenue was where the empty house was. So that's where we moved to.
Where'd you move to?
Republic,
In Republic?
1465 Republic Avenue. And we lived there for about over 5 years. That's,
What'd you have for furniture? Did you have like a table and chairs and couch and...
oh,
Did you
yeah.
when did the TV come in? Did you get a TV yet or?
Oh, gosh, with TV, why, we didn't have TV for,
Oh,
a
that
long
wasn't
time,
anywhere near then. Oh.
Long time.
Still radio though. You had a good old radio.
Good old radio.
And Victrola.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you had to wind it.
Oh, that would be neat.
But,
Did
yeah,
you
it
ever
was,
have those ones that have the tubes that you put in?
no, we never had those.
Were those more
cylinders.
expensive?
We
Yeah,
never had-
cylinders.
Yeah, we never had
Were they
that.
more expensive or something?
No,
or-
no, I think
Just
they were just a
different?
little bit before, we were a little bit more modern, we had a little bit.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
No, we never had a cylinder one, but we did have the Victrola where you have to, oh, that was someone would be having parties, and somebody always had to keep,
Winding
winding it, so the records, the record wouldn't, oh, God.
And where Fred's people? Were they all in Philadelphia?
Well, now they lived in Kensington. I was a different,
But it was in Philadelphia, or near
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia?
oh, it was
Did they
in
ever
Philly.
come and visit you?
Oh, no,
After
no,
you were in
no.
Columbus? Did you ever go back there?
Oh, in Columbus, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. After Doll
After
was,
she was born.
after she was born, it was, broke the ice,
They wouldn't talk to you before.
No, I was blackballed.
Well, how long were you married for? You had her. Was it long?
15 months.
15 months. So for 15 months they
See,
didn't
we
know
were
you
married in June, and Doll was born in September, the following year.
Uh-huh.
Why, because, no, I remember the night they came,
Was it the night she was born, or
well, like the night after.
you came to the hospital?
Yeah, well, I said, oh, yeah, they came in the hospital.
Did you know who they were?
Oh, yeah, because I had seen them. In fact, when we were down in Atlantic City on our honeymoon, I had seen them.
They came to...
Well, no, they were down there. Man, I guess they were in Martha's, I don't know. But we saw them on a boardwalk.
And they wouldn't even talk to you?
I don't know if they saw us or not.
Oh.
But we have, see, I knew the father because the first time I went out with Fred, I went to a race. I think I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to see him run. And the father, of course, he never missed anything that Fred did. So that's where he was at the race,
And he never even said hi to you?
Well, I don't know if he even knew me. Because there's a Fred, Fred was running. And after he stopped running, he came to me and he told me, he said, that's my father. That's my father. He wasn't nowhere near me, but he was in the crowd. You know what I'm trying to
He just
say?
pointed him out but didn't introduce
No.
you?
Oh, no. I didn't want no part of him because I knew how they felt,
Yeah.
To the hell with them,
Yeah.
But it worked out all right. After Doll was born, and then, of course, when I had Freddie, well, of course, a boy,
Yeah.
a boy.
Didn't you say that Fred was so proud of Doll that he used to put
Oh,
a diaper
he
or
was
a
so-
bottle in his back?
He was so
pocket?
proud of her. We had a nice park called Woodside. It was an amusement
Was
park.
that in Columbus?
Yeah.
That was in-
No,
is in Birmingham?
Philly.
Oh, it was in Philly?
Oh,
okay.
God, I'm getting Columbus.
Okay.
I better shut up.
No,
one
keep
minute,
going.
one minute I'm talking about Columbus.
Well,
and
that's
they
when
come up-
I'm asking questions. You just talk normal, and I'll stop asking
No,
questions.
Woodside. That was before we even. That was only 3 when we went to Allentown, you know. And this was even before that, where she was still having a bottle, you know. And the neighbors used to laugh. They would go down the street with the bottle sticking out in the back pocket. Oh, we're so proud of that kid. So proud of her.
She has real dark hair.
Oh,
like,
she was a beautiful.
just like Snow White.
Yeah. She had dark curls. My mother used to keep her. Mom used to make curls on her finger, you know. Yeah, oh.
In her hair?
Yeah. She didn't make. You see. And of course we kept her cute. You know what I mean? My mother being able to sew, she had little dresses with all ruffles. She dressed her cute, you know. And she was the only one, you know. I did have Freddie for, 5.5 years after that, so she was a queen bee for the time being, you know.
Yeah.
But he took her all over. That's why he could take her. He could take a bottle, you know what I mean, and that would quiet her, you know.
Did you have a buggy? Is that what he'd take her out with, or did he just hold her when he walked down the street?
No, he did take her out in the cars. He walked, he go by his trolley car.
Oh, he'd just hold her and take her in the
Oh,
car?
yeah, he'd have her in his arms, you know.
Uh-huh.
She was, he was proud of his daughter. And she was just as, well, daddy's girl, you know.
Oh, yeah. Did he show off his son the same way, or it was a little different for Fred?
Well, it's probably the first one, you know what I mean?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, you know. The first one
The
always
first one gets the most attention. Then when you get to the second, you're disciplining the first.
Yeah.
The second one doesn't get quite the same.
Yeah, it's funny. And the first one, God, every time they wrinkle their nose, you take a picture.
Yeah. That's true.
So,
But then you were in Columbus, and how long was it before? How long did you live in a rented house before you moved? Remember you said
we
you
were
lived
on
in
Republic Avenue.
Yeah.
We
For 5
lived there
years,
about,
you
I imagine it was about 5, maybe a little bit over.
And he was still a salesman then?
No, he was working for Central Ohio. He left Airco.
Oh,
See,
did
he
he?
was a salesman for Airco.
Uh-huh.
And he used to, Central Ohio was one of his big customers.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Richter, now he was the owner down there. And he got fit to, work for him.
What did he do then?
Selling.
Oh, selling?
Yes. Oh, yeah, he never was really back to welding as far as working like that. No, he was always a salesman, But, of course, he didn't have to go away. He was home all the time.
Well, that was nice, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah. Birmingham was a long year.
I bet.
Like I say, I was scared and not so
far
strange,
away.
And then only home during the weekend. God, Sunday went like 2 hours,
I bet.
Oh,
I bet.
So, but it worked out all right,
Yeah.
Now you look back and wonder how you did it, but,
I bet, yeah.
know.
Was that, when you lived in Republic, was that pretty much in the city, or was it?
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
that's right in the city.
Is it?
Yeah, that's not far from where we live in Dresden, huh?
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I don't know.
See,
Columbus, how well.
no, that's true. But they were twin houses.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Dresden was, your single houses. But the Republic and all Linden really was, a lot of houses there are your twins, twin houses. I had nice neighbors there. And Dick was my paper boy.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, Dick was our
When you
paper-
moved to Dresden, or on Republic?
No, on Republic.
On Republic?
Uh-huh.
Really?
He only lived around the corner from
Where
us.
did he live?
Aberdeen, no, it doesn't seem like it was Aberdeen. Ain't that crazy?
It's the big white house that has a lot
Yeah,
of
right on the
things in
corner was,
backyard
it was
now.
that empty lot,
Yeah.
Was it Briarwood? Gotta say something like enough. I think it was Briarwood.
Well, it's been a while.
Oh yeah, it's been a while, especially me anymore, kid.
And he was
I can't remember what happened yesterday.
How was it when Dal went to school the first time? Was that rough on you?
Oh yeah, I think it's rough on any mother.
Yeah. Did you walk her to school, or where'd she go? Did she go to
And
Catholic
St.
school?
Augustine's. Yeah, that was only.
Did Dick go there too?
Oh yeah, they graduated together. Uh-huh. Yeah, they graduated together. But it was funny. I don't think they ever had.
They never noticed each
No,
other.
isn't that funny? Until after they got out of high school, I believe they got, got together again.
That's so.
That shows fate.
I guess.
That shows fate. Like those kids now. They went all through school and didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's like that,
Yeah, I do too.
I really do. Now, of course, Joe Laurie, he lived, Laura, he grew up with us. I knew Joe Laurie as long as my sister did.
Really?
We lived in the same neighborhood, Oh, yeah. Joe was just another kid in the neighborhood. But,
Then he ended up a brother-in-law.
yeah, he went,
Oh.
yeah. Joe was always my big brother. He never was an in-law to me. He always felt closer,
Now I'm starting to put it together. Like I remember when you were in Philly when Joe was so sick and you were staying with Miss and
yeah.
how I always thought, well, how is he related to her?
Oh, no, he was...
He was your
my
brother-in-law.
Mrs. Father.
Yeah. See, I could never put it together. I never
Oh,
understood
yeah,
why.
that poor
I thought he
brother.
was your cousin or your,
Oh, no. I was so glad that I could help Mitz. And I never said too much to Mitz. But I myself used to think, oh, I hope Joe don't know me. We knew, he acted like he didn't know us. But I used to take care of Joe, help him. He had a, good bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And he was so proud. Joe, and so modest. We lived together. Like I say, we all lived together. We were all young married,
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
But there was never nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't like he walked around in his underwear.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There was never nothing like that. And Joe was always such a clean-cut guy, and I always hoped he never knew me because he would have died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that used to worry me once in a while. Oh, God, I hope he don't know who I am, Because, guy's sick and had to be helped, But I never said it to Miss because I didn't want her to... I wanted to help her, and I thought if she knew I felt that way, then maybe she wouldn't be... she...
Wouldn't be so anxious to let you help.
Yeah, And all I wanted to do was to help her, But Joe, that poor bugger, if he had seen himself, and he would have maybe even killed himself. You know what I mean? He would never wanted to be like he was.
Yeah.
And he used to holler all the time. Rudy deserves a crown in heaven like his wife does for putting up with that. He wondered how the guy even slept. All the time. That terrible, I don't know how to say it. It was loud enough to be heard through the house, and yet it wasn't actually a yell.
A moan?
I wonder what it was. I can't say it was a moan. It was an odd sound.
All the time?
All the time.
Ooh, that'd be eerie.
You think he would really, his throat would get sore, but all the time. As I say, if you doze off, you wake up.
It's still there.
We'd be out in the...
Didn't it scare you sometimes?
Well, no, because he couldn't even get out of bed, When he had to go, he had his potty chair by the, side of the bed. You'd have to help him to get it.
What did you just say? You got to go to the bathroom, or?
Well, I don't know, he kind of make a motion. You knew when he had to go, And of course, if he had to go if his bowels wanted to move, because we just had to urinate, you just put the bottle up to him. They have those bottles,
Yeah.
But it was when he had, and then when he ate, you'd have to sit him up, so you had to feed him. Poor Joe even had to be fed. And that's why I was so glad I was able to be there with Mitz, because that's all the stuff I could do, too. He would let me, see, Mitz and I, he knew us. From always coming, he knew us, you know what I mean?
You knew someone was there that he could depend on.
Yeah.
Like a baby knows his mom.
Yeah, he would let me and Mitz do anything like that, feed him and this and that. That's why when Josie was going to get married, I got him so mixed up. I'm talking too much.
No, you're
No,
not.
you think I'm looking at something?
No, I was just looking, making sure the camera's still going.
I'm talking too much and being all mixed up. But when Joseph was going to get married, that's why I said to Mitz not to worry. She wanted me to go to the wedding so bad, to see the kids get married. And I knew that Joe knew me. And I was afraid of it. Somebody else would come and say, now all the neighbors offered. They all were willing to help so that I could go to because Miss wanted me to be there so bad, at the wedding. And they all offered to come in and stay with Joe for the day. But I was afraid myself that he would be so strange with somebody else coming in. He knew Miss and I so good that he might maybe try to. We didn't know what he might try to do,
Yeah.
But the guy was good because Joe got so sick that they put him into the. He was in the hospital when Joe was married.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it seemed like the guy was good. You know what I mean?
Well, that worked out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then that's when he was in the hospital, I guess. I think he was in the hospital a couple of months, and then he went to the rest home. That's where he died, But it seemed like God was with us.
Yeah.
If he had to go to the hospital, he went in the hospital. And it's only a couple of weeks before Joe got married. It was crazy. It was funny.
Just in time so that you could be
Yeah, right. It seemed like it was to
How
be
long
like
was
that.
he in the nursing home before he died?
And not too awful long, hon.
Didn't seem like it was.
Not too awful long. Time goes on and you don't realize just.
You don't look at it's been 1 week.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, think, well, it's a month or something,
Yeah.
But he was in a very, very nice place. In fact, it was the people that could really afford big money. Their place was beautiful. They were on, say, one floor, and the other people just could give what, They were on a different floor. But you should have seen some of the rich folks, walking in and out of there. It was up in a very exclusive part outside of Philly,
More than Rudy and Mitz could probably afford.
Oh, gosh, no, they couldn't. They wouldn't be. Well, see, when you go in a home, Joe had to sign over, his pension and his Social Security. See,
Everything he owned.
Everything he owned had to be signed over. That's why it's so bad,
Well, then if he's just there for a week or two, then all of his inheritance and stuff would be taken
Well,
out.
that's why you feel sorry for, like for Mrs. Priest. God, I bet her home and everything else will go someday, to pay, because she's been in I think it's about 2 years since
Julie's
I'm
grandmother.
talking about,
That Rita's grandmother.
Rita's grandmom, yeah. Mrs. Whalen's mother,
Yeah,
And that poor soul, her home and everything,
that's awful.
And Pranel, now she was my very good friend. I think Joe, when he died himself, I think he still owed money from when she was in there. He had sold his house and everything he had to pay the bills, but my God, when you're in there for so
Well,
long.
what do they do if people just don't have the money? But they have to be in a home.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes you wonder, But some people, I'm sure, can't pay everything.
God, I forget, I heard a couple of times just how much it cost,
And get back to when did you move to Dresden? Did you live somewhere else?
Oh, yeah.
After Republic?
Well, when Fred had done a good job at Central Ohio.
Uh-huh.
He really did. He made very, very good money.
I thought he had a shop at one time.
Yeah, he did.
Was that before
He
that or
left,
after that?
no, we had a house first,
Uh-huh.
And well, I don't even know how we came to get over by Dresden. I guess the lots were, I guess we just went over and bought lots, I don't know, because...
Was that right after Republic that you moved to Dresden?
Yeah. Because, we were living on Republic, we used to walk over to Dresden every night.
Oh, did you?
Just to see how, how much
How it
more
was
they,
coming.
how much more they were, getting along. But when we first went over there, honey, there was no houses. It was all
Oh boy, has it changed.
because up at that turn up a block above where we lived, there used to be blackberries. You used to be able to pick blackberries and all up
Jeez, it
there.
was country. That's so hard
Yeah,
to
that's-
believe.
Uh-huh. At St. James, like I say, St. James Church, the church we first went up there was an old farmhouse. It was over 100 years old. So that was nothing but country, you know.
So you built Dresden from the bottom up.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. We bought the 2 lots. Now we could have bought all the way, any lot you wanted, you know what I mean? And they were cheap. I can't tell you just what they were, but they had to be cheap, you know, that time because there was so much, you know, ground over there. I guess you could buy anything for, you know.
A song and a dance.
Yeah, right. So anyway, Freddie, you know, made the plans.
He drew his own plans.
Oh, yeah. And because I, you know, with my,
Your approval.
yeah, oh, sure, sure. I will say for that, when they came to the house, it was me. You know, whatever was, whatever I want in the house, because he said, the shop is mine, the house is yours. In other words, don't butt in the shop, and I won't butt in the house. You know, like that.
So after you moved into the house is when he got his own shop.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Was that a welding shop then?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, he always,
Was it kind of like Dad's or nothing like that?
oh, my, you mean, that shop
Yeah,
Dick's?
yeah.
Oh, my God, no.
What
Boy,
was-
Dick's.
Is it a
You
lot
ever seen,
smaller?
were you in
Oh
Dick's shop?
yeah, it's huge.
Oh, my God, the machinery and all these guys. Oh, God, no. It would have been wonderful if he did, you know, but
Yeah.
no. He just had
A little welding
a little
shop?
welding shop, yeah. Oh, no, Dick can be so proud of his.
Yeah.
Well, Fred was too, for that matter, but it was a little bit of a thing compared to that, you
Yeah.
know.
And then you lived there, and then Mom and met Dad. Well, Mom and Dad got together.
Well, I think now, she could tell you better than I can, but I think they met on the bus.
After the war.
You know, I know, after,
Did your husband ever go to a war?
no, he was too young.
He was too young, and then when the other
He
came,
was right in between the ages, you know. No,
Thank
he
heavens, huh?
he never saw service, no how. But Joe Laurie and all, when they went to World War One,
Uh-huh.
and my brother was in World War One. Johnny, Bill was too young. But an awful lot of I knew an awful lot of kids, fellas in the World War One. The kind of Johnny went around with, and
Uh-huh.
and Joe Laurie went around with, why, they all had to go to, they all went to France.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were all in the war.
That must have been an awful time, wasn't it? Always wondering if they'd come.
Well, every night, I know, tell them, every night it'd be in the newspaper, you know, who the guys would kill or wounded, and it's...
Was that right after Depression? Is that why Depression ended? Because the war started? Or was Depression right after the war?
The war was in 1917.
Oh, and then later was
Yeah, 1917. Because 1918, Joe was over in France, you know what I mean? I think World War One, war lasted about 2 years. I think it started in 1917
Uh-huh.
and 1990. I think it was getting tired.
No, I was looking to see because I know that's on 2 hours and I just don't want to run out.
So, what did I tell you? Oh yeah, we had cobblestone streets. Sutton Street was cobblestone.
Gee.
And that's where we used to like to hear the horses, their hoofs, you know?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I used to love to hear the horses. Yes. And then they got cemented. Oh,
That was a
Yeah.
disappointment, wasn't it, as far as the noise?
well, I used to like it, but a lot of people were tickled because, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning when the milkman would be coming up, that's when the milk was put on your steps and stuff like that. Well, of course, they called them slopmen, and it wasn't a garbage.
Slopman?
Slop trucks, yeah. They were coming from Jersey because of the, what we call garbage. They wanted for the pigs. So we had a Nash day and a garbage day, or slop day.
Uh-huh.
Because the ashtray was for your tin cans and boxes and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Where the slop day was just,
Leftover food,
yeah, food that they used to take to Jersey for the pigs. But anyway, you'd hear all them wagons, all the time anymore.
They could have it freely, right? They didn't charge for garbage collection.
Oh, God, no. They were tickled death to get your junk, your slop.
Those were the days.
But, of all the horses we used to have, the brewery wagon, the horses, they were big. Oh, God, the horses were big. And they wasn't so well taken care of. They were dirty looking. But the fire horses,
were they bigger than that?
The fire horses always reminded me of the Budweiser horses. They wasn't as big, but as pretty a horse.
Uh-huh.
You know the ones I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
they're beautiful
They're
horses.
huge,
Yeah.
too.
But the fire horses wasn't that big, but they were so well taken care of, And they would go up First Street, and that's when they had the old engine that the smoke would come out, Oh, God. I forget half of what they used to call that stuff, But anyway, it was fire. And they always seemed so proud.
Uh-huh.
Oh, their mane would be flying, their tails would be flying. We used to think they were proud, We used to love the fire horses. We had a firehouse down on 4th and Thompson that when we used to pass. Now this is all kid stuff,
Uh-huh.
Where the firemen would let us go in, and each horse had a name, We would go and look at the horses. Everything was horses then,
Yeah.
Horses.
So you got your new Plymouth.
Oh yeah, I got it when I was rich. Poor Uncle Tom. I always said that was when I was rich.
Yeah.
But and that's what I got for my money. Johnny Kroger, he had a ball till it, and so did Bill, till it was gone.
When did Bill meet Alice? Was he pretty old?
Well, now, I really don't know. See, I wasn't in Philly then. I had moved
Did you go
away.
back for his wedding?
Well, the first, Bill never had wedding. First time he got married, he went to,
The Justice of a Peace? Or?
yeah, Maryland, someplace in Maryland. There's a place you could get married quick. Well, that's where they got married first. And then they were married a good while. When else went in the duties for her, I think she had a gallbladder operation. Well, she had some kind of an operation. And the sisters over there talked her into getting married.